Class 5A rankings are here for week 6. My name is Cade Nissen, bringing you our rankers. New rankings. We got a little bit of movement. Nothing crazy this week in Class 5A, but nevertheless, each week is a test in this class, and it's proving to be just that. Before we get started, if you're not subscribed to IA Sports on YouTube, please do so. I know you're probably clicking this link, watching the video, and hopping out, but subscribing helps support us and lets us know to keep doing this thing. The views are going up week in and week out, so we know more people are tuning in. We appreciate that. And if you're not subscribed, just please go ahead and do so. It takes 2 seconds, and it just helps support us. But nevertheless, let's get into it. 16 through 11 in Class 5A. At number 16, Urbandale, they move down one spot after a win over Sioux City North, 14-12. City High, they hold down their spot after a loss to Kennedy, 61-34. In Valley, welcome back into our top 6 team. They handled Ames, beat them 52-13, and a nice chance to hold down or get your first win in week 5 in the start of group play. So Valley back in our rankings. At number 13, Linmar, they're at 2-3. They lost to Cedar Falls 33-21. They hold down number 13. And Johnson, a tough loss this week to Hawkeyes. They're not going to move. They hold down the 12 spot after a 14-10 loss. Ankeny, that you went and beat Iowa City West on their homecoming, a really nice win. They got the number 11 spot. I know I picked Iowa City West as an upset. That was not a good pick. Ankeny obviously went down there, went over east, and handled the Trojans. So a nice win for the Hawks and company, just outside of our rankers top 10. Nevertheless, let's get into that top 10. Starting with Hawkeyes, another big win against a solid Johnson team as Hawkeyes, 4-1 for the first time in a while. They get Des Moines Lincoln this week before a big matchup with Dowling Catholic in week 7. And the only thing holding Hawkeyes back is that one loss to Northwest, and then they're at number 9. They travel to number 14 Valley this week. Does Hawkeyes Northwest win this game, and they likely finish 6-3 and a top 8 seed? Lose this, and you're looking like a 5-4 team and a lower seed again. Do it all quarterback Sam Johnson has 1,100 yards this season and has accounted for 13 touchdowns. Hawkeyes Northwest at number 9. At number 8, Cedar Falls, big game against PV this week. Cedar Falls has been up and down this season, but is capable of winning out if they are on. They have 3 running backs with over 200 yards this season. This game against PV could be a quick one. 2 teams that love to run the ball. The clock is going to be rolling. It's going to be about maintaining where you're at on the field. Field positioning is going to be huge. And again, 2 teams that really love to run the ball. So mistakes are going to be even more critical. At number 7, Prairie. Prairie is a big game against number 11, Ankeny this week. Win, and they likely end up a top 6 seed. Lose, and they could be staring at a 5-4 season and sitting around the 12 through 14 spot. Casey Kelly is leading the way with 761 yards on the ground and 10 touchdowns. So again, Ankeny gets another Eastern Iowa opponent in Prairie this week. Big game there. At number 6, Ankeny Centennial. Talk about a bigger game. Number 2, Dowling Catholic is on the doorstep. Centennial is one of 4 teams that has beaten Dowling Catholic in the regular season in the last 10 years. They will look to do it again this season. Trenton Smith has thrown for 15 touchdowns this year and will look to add to it against Dowling. Against Centennial, really one of the only teams to really push Southeast Polk to the wire. And they're going to get a shot to pick up a huge quality win over number 2 Dowling Catholic. Let's get into your guys' top 5, and as you can assume, not too much movement. Kennedy, your team of the week from last week, a trouncing of City High at Bates Field. Kennedy's offense looks elite. They got number 3 Bettendorf at home. Win this game, they likely jump to a 4 seed in the postseason. Quarterback Vincenzo Gianforte continues his great year with 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns passing. He's got weapons, he's got good running backs, and he's got a good line to protect him. Kennedy, after losing their first 2 games, is on a roll, kind of like we expected. Pleasant Valley at number 4, game versus number 8 Cedar Falls this week, like we talked about, could go a long way in determining the final RPI standings. They have 4 athletes with over 200 yards rushing thus far. Like we talked about, PV, they want to run the ball. Cedar Falls, they want to run the ball. Both teams control the line of scrimmage. That's their goal. That one's going to be an interesting one. And like we said before, it might be a quick one because that clock is going to be moving constantly. At number 3, Bettendorf. Again, they got Kennedy this week, win and likely go 9-0. And as the 1 or 2 seed in the playoffs, they have a balanced running attack and have accumulated 1,100 yards this season. So Bettendorf, Kennedy, there's some really good matchups this week in Class 5A after kind of, like I said, a week off. You got Bettendorf, Kennedy, you got Centennial, Dowling, you got Prairie, and Ankeny. You got Cedar Falls, PV. I don't know if I already said that one. talking so much today, doing all these rankings. But nevertheless, a lot of good matchups in Class 5A. Speaking of, the number 2 Dowling Catholic, big matchup with Centennial. Dowling continues to beat teams on the ground. Davis is leading the way with 675 yards and 13 touchdowns this season. Dowling Catholic, they had that nice win over Roosevelt on Thursday last week. At number 1 Southeast Polk, no surprise here. They are one of 3 teams across all 7 classes to be the wire-to-wire number 1 team at this point, and there is no surprise. They continue to roll. They get a struggling Johnson team this week. Dowling Week 8 has now been circled on the calendar like it has been for a while and is a potential state championship preview, which I like and I hate at the same time. You know what I mean? They're going to face in Week 8 and could face really soon after. So, nevertheless, that's going to be a ton of fun in Week 8. Moberly continues his good season with 13 touchdowns and only 1 interception. So really not too much of a surprise this week in Class 5A, just with a kind of some top teams facing some teams outside of our top 16 and handling them pretty easily. But nevertheless, this week that changes. I believe 3 or 4 top 16 matchups across the class in the state of Iowa. Going to be a ton of fun. Be sure to tune in next week for these rankings because we might see some movement. But nevertheless, Class 5A fans, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. You guys are blowing these videos up every single week. I appreciate that, and we will catch you guys next week.